In this video, I built a stand for the Shear brake roller. I decided too tall, so I take 10 inches out, and then I painted this beautiful red. I was at Harbor Freight last week, and I picked up this 30-inch Shear press, brake, and slip roller 3-in-1. And the reason I picked it up is because these teeth are removable, so that you can make boxes. And I have a couple boxes I need to make out of sheet metal for switches, actually. But the problem is it doesn't come with a stand. I think it was meant to be a bench top, but this thing is heavy. So I looked it up and it's 288.68 pounds. I have some 2.5-inch square tubing that's a 1/4 inch thick. It's going to have a lot of weight, but I think it will definitely support anything that's going to be on it. I put the handle on it, and my plan is to make the bottom an I-beam type, so it comes out right here. The top of it, the bottom will go out as long as the handle, and then it'll go up. Oh, I'm not sure how high I'm going to make it yet. So I guess I'm going to figure out how high I'm going to make it and then start measuring my metal. So that's the square tubing I have. I have some 1x4 that I'm going to use to make the top out of. I think I'm going to go 15 inches with the top. And I'm thinking about probably doing 26 for the base and offsetting some of the front, so that, because I think you're going to be pulling more on the front, pulling towards you, so more there would be okay. But on the pallet here, you can see I can't shake it because it's 288 pounds. So with no casters or anything underneath it, I think it's going to be fine. I eventually would like to find some casters that lift up so the whole thing sits flat on the 2.5-inch square tubing. But for now, I'm just going to probably build it, put it on it, and move it around with a dolly or some other way. That'll probably help after I get this all built. I got a majority of the metal cut. I got a couple braces I'm going to cut out later. We're back at it again. Getting ready to weld this up with 200 amps of DC awesomeness. Making Edison proud. Get it? Tesla, AC, Edison, DC. I'm not sure if the welder is going to damage the camera sensor, so I'll come back to you when it's done. I got it all laid out here. I'm ready to weld. And I'll be using 3 30-seconds filler rod for the side right here. And because the square tubing has a rounded side on both sides of it, I'll be using the 1/8 filler rod. It's time to get welding. Well, this leg is done. I'm letting the TIG torch cool off before I start the other one. I had to do a couple passes even with that thicker filler rod right here. Right here I was able to walk the cup of the torch, and I'm really happy with the way that weld came out. Overall, I think it's going to be plenty strong. Got all 4 sides welded up, and I'm going to start the next one as soon as it's cool enough to do it. Thinking about using this angle, since this is just some flat stock right here, cutting a 45 on one side and go about like that. So it's going to bolt up here. It won't interfere with the bolts, but it'll give it some more strength if I do that on each side. And it won't interfere if I want to put something right here at some point. Well, the next thing to do is set this 288-pound piece of equipment on top of these legs. But before I do that, I'm going to round off these corners here so they're not as sharp and I don't cut myself when working on this. These will probably stick out a little bit, so that's why I want to make sure they're nice and smooth. And then after that, the fun is really easy. How do I get this onto here so I could drill the holes and bolt it on? Haven't figured that out yet, but it's going to be exciting. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to use the cherry picker, which is also called an engine crane, with the leveler on it. And there's only 3/8 bolt holes in their course, so I'm kind of worried that if they're going to hold or not. They should though, because it's 288 pounds. But I'm going to lift this up, like a level as needed. I'm hoping I can get enough clearance to fit those legs underneath it. When I was deciding the height of this project, I looked around and I decided to use my lathe as a good working height. And that's about 44 inches high. I made the legs about 44 inches high, but I didn't account for the rest of the height here. So I'm wanting to remove about 10 inches, which should bring the handle down to about right here. And the bender part of it, the brake part of it, down to about right here, which should give me a good enough view over it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the legs and re-weld them. So I'm coming up a foot on each side, and then I'm going to take 10 inches out, so that should be about the middle-ish. And at that point I'll put a cross brace too. And I'm hoping I can get it cut the same so they stay even lengths, but I'll measure all that before I weld it up. And if it's off by a little bit, I can feel some of that, but hopefully it's not. I got it cut and did some pre-measurements. Everything looks great. I went ahead and kind of deburred the sides here and cleaned it up before I weld with some non-chlorinated brake cleaner. Before I cut, I marked the tops and which way they go, so I should have it all the same. And I used the cut off pieces to kind of clamp the side together, so it should be fairly straight. So I'm going to weld this up, take the clamps off, and then I'll finish welding it. I got these welded up, ready to go on now. And once I get them on, I'm going to make sure they're measured between the distances so that they're parallel, and then cut a cross brace for them, and I'll put that about right there. I got it set up and ready to weld. I moved it over to the trigger control of the torch here, and just set it to 200 amps, and I'm going to go through and burn this in at the top and both sides, and then I will take it off so it's easier to weld. Weld this side at the bottom and the other side's up. Wire brush it all, paint it up. I got it all welded up, so now it's time to wire brush it and paint it, and I think I'm just going to rattle can it red. I like red, it matches the toolboxes, some other stuff I have here, and I think it'll stand out.